What is up, everyone? Today is Tuesday, which means that it's time for another live Q&A. As always, I'm your host, Paul J. Lipsky, here to answer any questions you might have about dropshipping. Ooh, sorry about the mic. Here to talk about any questions you all might have about, still a little too loud, right? Have about dropshipping onto different marketplaces like eBay and Facebook Marketplace. And we have some news I want to talk about regarding Facebook Marketplace. So we're going to get to that in just one moment, but let me quickly go into the chat and see who's here, see if you guys have any initial questions about this. But this is going to affect us, right, as dropshippers on Facebook Marketplace. So this is important news that I do want to cover, but I have some caveats about it. So we're going to get to that in just one moment. Let's see. Someone actually has a question that's very similar to this, so we're going to be able to answer that for you. Yes, what's up, George? Made it in time, so thanks for being here, George. All right, everyone. So here's the news. A couple of weeks ago, I heard from a couple of people that they had heard that Facebook Shops is going to be shut down as an avenue for selling on Facebook Marketplace. Now, to understand this, you kind of have to understand how it is that we've been selling on Facebook Marketplace. So if you're not familiar with it, Facebook, when you log in, has a tab on it for Marketplace. That's where you can buy and sell stuff that you have. And a few years ago at this point, we were given the opportunity to actually start shipping items to our customers on Facebook Marketplace, which unlocked for us the ability to start doing drop shipping on Facebook Marketplace. And immediately it was a really hot place to be selling because it was very untapped. It's still really a great place to be selling. Still not a lot of people know that you can do drop shipping on there. So it's a great opportunity, but there is one sort of flaw with it, right? A little thing in there that's made it more difficult, I would say, than drop shipping on other places like eBay. And that's that when you're drop shipping on Facebook Marketplace, we don't have full automation set up. So we have software, for instance, for eBay that allows us to automate a lot of our drop shipping for us. That software will list items into our eBay store. If the price changes on our supplier's website, the prices will be updated on eBay. Same thing with the stock levels. You can even have it automatically order items for you. And that's all done because the software is able to communicate directly with eBay. Unfortunately, Facebook Marketplace doesn't have that ability. We're not able to have software talk directly with Facebook. So we still have software, but we kind of have a workaround for it that's not as seamless as we would want it to be, or as automated as we want it to be. That's where Facebook Shops came in. Because Facebook Shops is, think of it like you sign into your Facebook account and you set up a business on Facebook, a business page. And then that business page will sell items on their page or in their shop, as it's called. Now, that's all well and good, but what really makes this work are two things. One, all the items you add into that shop, we had the ability to have those items appear on Facebook Marketplace. So we were now finding that there are two different ways we can add items to Facebook Marketplace. One was directly, and the other was through the shop. And the benefit of the shop was that the software would directly talk with the shop. So now we were able to use the software and have a fully automated dropshipping store, and it was on Facebook Marketplace, which, as we know, is just a really great place to be selling. Okay, so that brings us now to where we are today. Or a couple of weeks ago. A couple of weeks ago, I heard a rumor that we would no longer have the ability for our items that are in our shops to appear on Facebook Marketplace. So in other words, we could add items into our shop, but they would not appear on Facebook Marketplace that way. And that's a problem because that basically makes shops worthless to us. If you add items to your shop, no one is ever going to find them unless you're a business that actually does advertising. So we now have to sell directly on Facebook Marketplace. Now, when I first heard this rumor, I was a little bit confused because I had not heard anything about this. I was logging into Facebook Shops. I wasn't seeing an announcement. I never got an email about it. So I was kind of confused about this. Someone did send me a screenshot of the email that they got. which said this. It said on December 1st, Marketplace will no longer be a selling channel available for shops. As a result, your subscription to have the Marketplace sales channel enabled will expire. All your other sales channels for your shops will remain the same. So that's basically what I just described to you. Again, I've never gotten this email. I thought maybe because I had some filters set up in my email inbox that it somehow got filtered. I did a search. I'm not able to find it. Maybe it's in there and I'm just not able to find it. And I've spoken to other people who have not gotten this email, even though they have Facebook shops. But I've spoken to enough people who do have Facebook shops at this point who have gotten this email that it seems like this is the case, right? I don't think they would just be sending it out to a few people and just canceling it for a few people, not others. It just seems like for whatever reason, not all of us got this email, which is a little bit strange, but not all that strange because the way that Facebook has been doing things with Marketplace is a bit sort of haphazard at times. So it does seem like this is the case where you're no longer going to be able to use shops to sell on Facebook Marketplace. I tried to find more information about this and I wasn't. One of my top resources for all sorts of e-commerce news is a website called E-commerce Bytes. They're usually really good at reporting on updates that are important like this, and they literally have no mention of this happening at all. So again, besides just on different forums and in Facebook groups and people emailing me about this, that's the only way that I've heard about it. And this is the only thing that people have said was exactly what's in this email and no other further information. So 2 things I want to talk about is 1, what this means for us. And before we get to that, I want to talk about why Facebook might be doing this. Now, I have a few ideas about why Facebook might be removing this integration between shops and Marketplace. On the one hand, it was kind of janky to begin with. A lot of people were trying to set it up and they weren't successful. It was kind of like a hard thing to figure out how to do. So that's kind of makes me feel like maybe not a lot of people were taking advantage of it because Facebook kind of hid it and made it hard. So because people weren't using it, Facebook may have thought to themselves, hey, no one wants this, so we're just going to eliminate it. That's possible. It's also possible that they saw this as a way for them to make more money. Because if they remove that shop's integration with Marketplace, now if you have a Facebook shop and you want to sell items, presumably you would have to run ads to that, Facebook ads. And that's where Facebook really makes their money, with ads. Because when you run Facebook ads, you're paying Facebook for those ads up front. Okay? And it doesn't matter if someone ends up buying from you, you're going to pay for those ads. So that's a possibility as well. And the third possibility is that they just kind of similar to the first one, where they just kind of got lazy or didn't want to put more money into it. It wasn't working the way they wanted to. And rather than try to fix it, they just eliminate it. I'm not sure. If you're here and you have a better theory, let me know. But those are kind of like my theories as to why they're doing it. It really doesn't matter. The point is, we can no longer list through shops on the Facebook Marketplace. So what does that mean for us? Well, honestly, for most people, it's not going to make any difference at all. Most people that are selling on Facebook Marketplace are selling directly on Facebook Marketplace. They're not using Facebook shops. So for those people, nothing's going to change for you. And that's always how I recommended people got started with dropshipping on Facebook, is by selling directly on Facebook Marketplace anyway. It's a lot simpler. It's a lot more straightforward. And yes, the software isn't as automated and as integrated, but it worked good enough, especially considering how great of an opportunity Facebook Marketplace is. So for most people, it's really not going to be any change. Now, for people who were using Facebook shops and using it to sell on Facebook Marketplace, you're not going to be able to do that anymore. So you will have to resort back to selling directly on Facebook Marketplace. Now, most people I know who were doing that were also selling directly on Facebook Marketplace anyway. They were just using both channels to do it. So for you guys, you're just going to have to stop selling on Facebook shops and just continue selling on Facebook Marketplace and put more emphasis in there. And especially what we've seen over the past, I would say 8-9 months, maybe even the past year, which is that, when Facebook shops first came out, we saw it as a real boost to our revenue because for whatever reason, all the items we added into shops were somehow selling better than if we were to sell them directly on Facebook Marketplace. But then somewhere along the lines that sort of flip-flopped. So this year in particular, we saw that Facebook Marketplace was stronger than Facebook Shops. So I know a lot of people who kind of backtracked and started selling more aggressively directly on Facebook Marketplace than on Shops anyway. So I guess the short answer here that I'm trying to explain is that I think for most people, this isn't going to make any sort of difference at all. You can still sell on Facebook Marketplace. You can still drop ship on Facebook Marketplace. For most people, absolutely no change. It's the same exact opportunity. In fact, maybe even less of a headache because now instead of choosing, hey, do I want to sell directly on Facebook Marketplace or do I want to use Shops? You don't have to make that decision. There's one way to do it. Do it that way. Don't deal with the headache of trying to set up a Facebook shop, which was a multi-step process that required multiple points of approval. You don't have to worry about that anymore. And you don't have to worry about your competition outdoing you by doing that because no one's going to be able to do it. So we're all kind of more on a level playing field here. We're all selling directly on Facebook Marketplace. So those are kind of my thoughts about it. Again, the only sort of like questionable thing for me right now is why didn't all of us get this notification? And does this mean that it's definitely going away? We'll see on December 1st, but it certainly seems that way. All right, so let's jump into the questions now. A very related one from Reality saying, Facebook Marketplace doesn't work for me. Should I set up a shop instead? No. It seems like no. It seems like the only way for you to, again, sell on Facebook Marketplace at this point is directly on Facebook Marketplace. And if that's not available for you, then you want to look at other platforms like Amazon and like eBay. Yes. Yeah. So Correct says, if I'm listing an item onto AutoDS and then using your Chrome extension to push the item to Facebook Marketplace, is the metadata automatically removed from images through AutoDS? I believe that AutoDS does remove metadata from the images, but I'm not certain of that, to be honest. And we've never seen any sort of evidence or indication that metadata on images hurts your account at all or your listing at all. So it's never been something that I've personally been worried about because we just haven't seen proof of that at all. And I certainly upload images to Facebook that do have metadata and haven't seen it negatively affect me. Okay. George says, in order to remain under the radar with your supplier, would you recommend deleting the shipping address of your customer from the supplier's cart after the sale, or does it not matter? George, I don't think it matters. In fact, I can say with extreme confidence that it doesn't matter. So what George, I guess, is worried about here is that one of his suppliers, whether that's Amazon or Walmart, for instance, that they're going to see that you're shipping to all of these different addresses and they're going to shut down your account that you're buying from. Well, these suppliers, they know that we're doing this. And I know that they know that we're doing this because if you try to use an Amazon Prime account for drop shipping, Amazon is going to shut that down pretty quickly. So they know what we're doing. They have a way of tracking that. However, they still allow us to use our regular Amazon accounts for drop shipping. They allow us to use those accounts to ship to multiple addresses every single day with no issue. So if they had an issue with it, they would have shut us down, but they don't do that. So again, just don't use Amazon Prime, don't use Walmart Plus, but regular Amazon account and Walmart accounts are fine. Again, they know that we're doing it and they don't have a problem with it. So I don't think deleting the addresses is necessary at all. Ayub says, I'm having tracking issues with AutoDS. The order was delivered on AutoDS, but the tracking is not updated. Is this normal? That's not ideal. Obviously, that's not what you want. You want a tracking number that shows that the item was delivered. So reach out to AutoDS support, say, hey, what's up with this? This item isn't showing that it was delivered. It needs to show it's delivered, and they'll be able to help you out with that. Dale says, would you recommend using only wholesalers to dropship on eBay? Our account's getting flagged for using retailers on eBay. The whole flag thing seemed to have gone away a couple of years ago. I think during the end of the pandemic, we haven't seen that being an issue. Now, as for the bigger question here, wholesalers versus retail, or wholesale dropshipping versus retail dropshipping, which one should you be doing? There are certainly pros and cons to both, Dale. Wholesale dropshipping, if you get it right, it's really great because you can have really great margins on your products. And a lot of times you're selling products with very little, if not no competition. But getting to that point takes a lot of work and a lot of time and a lot of research. So for most beginners, it's a huge hurdle to get over. That's why most beginners, they start with dropshipping using retail websites because it is just a lot more straightforward. We know which retail sites work well, right? Like Amazon and Walmart. These are the ones that most people focus on. It just works out really well, and it works really well with the software. Whereas with wholesale, there's not really any software we can use to automate it. So most people are sticking with the retail, especially in the beginning. And then if you want to dabble in wholesale as you move forward, and then, try it out and then find it, kind of get your groove. And then once it really gets going for you, you can put more time into it. But it's nice to have that base of retail dropshipping. I bought the eBay plan on AutoDS instead of the Facebook plan. I think it's safe to say it paid off. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Like, are you selling on eBay instead of Facebook? Is that what you mean? Sounds like something's going right for you. So I applaud that. That's awesome to hear. Okay. Tyler says, out of all of the print-on-demand businesses out there, which one have you heard might be the best? Like Amazon, Merch by Amazon, Printify, etc. etc. I don't have a ton of information about print-on-demand. I know it's very similar to dropshipping, so I get a lot of questions about this, actually. It would be great. Maybe I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and maybe I'll have someone else on who can talk about print-on-demand in the future, because I honestly get a lot of questions about this, and I don't have a great answer because I've never done this myself. It's something I've always been interested in because it's so similar to dropshipping, but I can only try so many new things, right? I like to stick with what works. So what I know about merch on demand is, certainly someplace, if you're doing merch by Amazon, it's going to make it really easy and streamlined for you. But check out, what's the name of the company? I'm blanking on the name of the company. I know the guy who owns it. His name is Ralph. I'm just blanking on the name of it. If you look him up on Instagram, it's DJ Ralph Retro, I believe, is his Instagram. And it'll probably say his company name right there in the bio. I'm just blanking on it. But maybe I'll try to get him on to talk about print on demand because so many of you are interested in it. Tyler says, do you know why Etsy has been removed from AutoDS as a dropship plan? I don't know the answer to that, actually. I actually wasn't even aware of that. So AutoDS works with a lot of different websites. Like you can use it to sell on Facebook Marketplace, to sell on eBay, to sell on Amazon, to sell on Etsy. It sounds like maybe it was removed for Etsy, but that's news to me. I don't sell on Etsy myself, so it's not something I'm paying attention to. Dale says, since dropshipping is a lot more well-known now, do you still find that customers don't mind getting their items in Walmart or even Amazon packaging? I haven't really seen a change in terms of customer feedback on this or customers' reactions to this. It's always been the same, which is a lot less of a reaction than you would expect from a lot fewer customers than most people would suspect. And I think that's just because customers just continue to not care as long as they're getting the correct item. Increasingly, sellers online are selling on different marketplaces, on multiple marketplaces, I should say. So a lot of times, even if you buy an item from eBay, from a seller, a lot of times that seller is cross-selling that item from Amazon, meaning, I don't know if that's correct terminology, but what they do is They send the item to Amazon first, and they have it listed for sale on both Amazon and eBay. If someone buys on Amazon, great. Amazon just fulfills that order. But if someone orders it from eBay, the seller just tells Amazon, hey, I have a customer. They're from another website, in this case, eBay. Send this to that customer. eBay does charge them for that fulfillment, but they don't hold on to it. They don't like hold it hostage. They'll send it to the eBay customer. So that is an option that's available to sellers. So even if you get an item that you bought on eBay in an Amazon box, that doesn't mean the seller is a dropshipper. A lot of times it's this cross-selling that happens, and you can explain that to customers. No, we haven't seen this okay, let me backtrack. So Shazzy's question is, does the item location and your location have to be the same? If we drop ship from CJ, it shows China. Okay, so what we have found is that when it comes to item location, the thing that really matters is making sure you're telling the truth about what country it's coming from. So if you're using suppliers here in the United States, it doesn't seem to matter what you put as the item's location, as long as the item originates from somewhere in the United States, the continental, 48 states. If, though, the item is coming from China, don't lie and say it's coming from the United States. Put down as a location of that item, put it down as China, because that's how you can get in trouble if you make like an egregious, blatant lie about the country it's coming from. Tyler says, do your virtual assistants go through prices and stocks every day, item by item for changes, or do they use a tool to help them? Do you mean on eBay? No, for eBay, we just use AutoDS, and AutoDS automatically does that. So, once you list an item with AutoDS, it's checking that every day. Has the price changed on the supplier's website? Has the item gotten out of stock? Or if it was out of stock before, is it back into stock? And then it'll update that on your eBay store for you. It does that multiple times a day. So my virtual assistants, I don't have to do that. It's done automatically. Okay. Tyler also asks, I have another eBay account that is used mainly for buying. Excuse me. But can I turn it into a normal selling account apart from my dropship one? Yeah, you can use any account you already have on eBay as and start selling on it. My only hesitation here is you probably don't need 2 accounts. You can have multiple eBay accounts, that's totally allowed, but you probably don't need more than one for selling, and it's just gonna sort of make it harder for you to keep track of things. So just consider that. You might not need it. 9 says, I used my Prime account and I've done over $1,000 in transactions. No ban. But as 9 says, take that with a grain of salt. And I agree, right? That's sort of like a anecdotal proof or anecdotal story that Amazon Prime accounts are fine to dropship from. Granted, everything we're talking about is anecdotal, right? We don't have like data on which Amazon accounts get shut down and which ones don't. We can just go off of stories that we hear from other people and feedback and emails I get, and me talking to my students every day and emails from you guys every day and YouTube. So I get a lot of this information coming at me is what I'm saying. And for most people, what I'm hearing is if they use an Amazon account, they're fine. But if they use an Amazon Prime account, that's where they run into trouble. And some people are able to do $1,000 in sales. But most people, it's going to catch up to you. And that account, that Prime account, usually ends up getting shut down. So again, take it with a grain of salt. Have I ever tried Redbubble on AutoDS? I have not. No, that's one I haven't even looked at, to be honest. Yeah, Siler, I would just create a new Amazon account. Creating an Amazon account is free. The only hiccup there is you might need another phone number for that. But I've used Google Voice numbers and it's worked fine for verification. So yeah, you can set up multiple Amazon accounts, like a second one with just a new email and a new phone number. and don't sign up for Prime with that account. Is reselling better than dropshipping just to resell popular items that have a demand? Well, dropshipping is a form of reselling. I'm not going to say one is better than the other. I think when you say reselling, you're talking about buying items from somewhere and then literally having them in your house and then reselling them on eBay, right? And there's so many different ways you can do that. You can go to thrift stores to do that. You can buy them online on like Nike.com when there's a deal going on, and then sell them on Amazon. You could buy them in bulk and sell them on Amazon or somewhere else. So there's a lot of different ways to do reselling, and each of those have their pros and cons, right? So what is so appealing about dropshipping for so many beginners is that you don't need the upfront capital. You don't need to invest in inventory upfront because you're not spending money on inventory until someone has already bought the item from you on eBay. So that greatly reduces the amount of money you have to invest up front, which in turn reduces the risk as well. Because if you're buying items up front and you're new and you don't know if those items are going to sell, well, now you might have a store of inventory that you've just spent money on that you're never going to make back. That doesn't happen with dropshipping because you only buy items after someone has already bought them from you. So it's very different, very different. But just to kind of play devil's advocate here and to be fair, with reselling, one of the benefits of it is that you can grab up those deals. So you could grab deals like, you might be able to find a deal on like some Nike products where they're like 50% off. And you hold on to them for like a couple weeks, and now the prices have gone back up to normal. So now you can sell them on Amazon and make some like serious profit on those, right? But that does require, again, like knowing that they're going to go back up and also having the money to buy that inventory up front. Yeah. Yeah, so that's why with Amazon, you have to stick with items that are over $35 so that they get the free shipping. Otherwise, for the cheaper ones, yeah, you can play the Amazon Prime juggling game, which is like creating multiple Amazon Prime accounts, but that's just going to become a hassle. So, try it out, but I can pretty much guarantee you your Prime account is going to get shut down. Make some sales, and then once your items sell, you can raise the profit up, and that will then allow you to make more profit per item. So if you want to scale up, that's the way to do it. Yeah, I think I just answered that. Yeah, again, if you're selling items on eBay from a supplier, the location of that item should be the actual location of that item, the country. So if you're using a US-based supplier, put as the item location somewhere in the United States. If you're using a Chinese supplier, put as the location of that item, China, right? Don't lie about that. That doesn't matter what your location is. It matters the location of the items that you're selling. But good question. All right, everyone. So that is it for this week. Thanks, everyone, for the great questions. And if you have any more information about these Facebook shops, let me know. Email me, paul@pauljlipsky.com, because I'm trying to figure this out as well. Otherwise, in the description of my videos are a bunch of free resources for you, some guides on how to use, on the best software to use, some guides on the best suppliers to use for dropshipping. So definitely download those to help you get started on your own dropshipping journey. Next week, we have Thanksgiving. So it is almost Black Friday, which would be a crazy time of the year for us dropshippers where you can make a lot of money. So we will do another live stream next week, right before Black Friday. So everyone, thanks so much, and I'll see you next week. Bye for now.